Hi everyone, my name is Tatiana, and today I have a card for you using the Spellbinders Let's Do Brunch die set. This die set has a bunch of brunch food with arms, legs, and faces, which means that they're anthropomorphic and super duper cute. It also includes 3 sentiments, as you can see there. And the materials that I'll be using today include, the first paper there was Spellbinders cinnamon cardstock. The 2 yellows are from my stash. This is obviously from my junk drawer. This piece looks like the fat on a bacon if you ever saw it, and it just came out of my junk drawer. The last piece of cardstock there was Spellbinders Merlot, and I'm using an embossing folder from Spellbinders that is a little bit older. Now, I want to tell you that this card is inspired by the Craft Roulette show this week. And if you don't know what the Craft Roulette show is, I'll go into detail about it a little bit later. But one of the parameters this week was to make a mini slimline card, and so that's what I'm doing here. And in case you don't know what a mini slimline card is, it's a card that fits into a business size envelope, which means that it's 3 inches by 6 inches, or it can be 3.5 inches by 6.5 inches. And that is what I chose to go with because I wanted a little bit more room on the card. So I'm taking the front of my card and I'm putting it into my Spellbinders embossing folder, and then I'm going to mist it with my Spellbinders mister, which just gives it enough water to not crack when it's going through the die machine. And it didn't crack, but when I opened up my embossing folder, it looked as though I had drenched the top of it for some reason. I really don't know what happened there, but it dried and all was well. So, if you don't know what Craft Roulette is, it's a show that is held on the Craft Roulette channel every week, the Craft Roulette YouTube channel, that is. And it's hosted by a lady called Mary Gunn. And Mary has a guest on every week. And the guest is a member of the card making community. And the 2 of them make a card live on air. And they don't just make any old card. They make a card that is determined by the spin of a wheel. And by the way, you are also invited to make a card and send it in, and you could win prizes. It's kind of like a game show, except that the person who is a guest doesn't really win anything. But you can win. So the parameters for the card are determined by the spin of a wheel, and there are 4 parameters each week. The parameters are project, meaning the type of project, color, the third one is the theme, I guess, and the last one is, what is the last one? Let me think. I think it's technique. You have to use a certain technique. So this week, the parameters were, 1, you had to make a mini slimline card. 2, the colors had to be joyful. So anything yellow and sunny and involving breakfast is joyful to me. 3, it was in the kitchen was the theme, and as you can see, food is kitchen related. And the last one was masking. The technique was masking this week. So I did use masking, and I'll show you at the point in which I used the masking. So I cut the coffee cup twice. It's kind of nice because you can just cut it out of 2 different colors, and then you can just, one of the coffee cups looks like you're drinking espresso, and the other coffee looks like you're drinking cafe latte. So anyway, oh my goodness, these little feet and arms are just so darn cute. And you know what I discovered as I was making this card was that the arms hook together like they're kind of arm in arm on the card if you want them to be. Anyway, so the little tab with the circle on it is where you put your glue, and then you just position the arms as you would like them to be. And in this case, I put the foam dot behind the coffee cup immediately because the egg is going to be holding his coffee. His arm is not very long, so his coffee will be held right there, right in front of his face. And I thought this is a good time to put that on because it just seemed like the right time anyway. So I'm messing a little bit with it there, and I'm going to put a little foam dot, and he'll be holding his coffee. So anyway, I In my last video, I said that I wanted to start making more videos this year, and I'm holding myself to that. And this is an easy way to do it by doing I find Craft Roulette very inspiring because it just gets me out of my comfort zone as far as card making goes. I tend to just make a certain type of card, and you can't do that when you watch the Craft Roulette show and make a card inspired by it because it's telling you what you're going to make. It's also really good for your creativity too, because you can't make your own decisions type of thing. I mean, you are, but you're not, you know what I mean? Anyway, so this little guy, oh my gosh, just looking at them again, I just find them so cute. Okay, so anyway, the sentiment and the characters I'm going to put on foam dots. First, I'm going to position them, and here's where I can here's where I can show you that they hook arms, which is adorable. And then I'm going to see where I want to put the sentiment, and obviously I'm going to put it below. It just looks like it's floating in the air if I put it up at the top. Then I put the Bacon's coffee cup on immediately, and then I flipped them over, and it was time to add little foam dots. And I put a million little foam dots on the back, and it just gives that little extra oomph when you push the characters up from the card. Yes, so anyway, the show, back when they started out, I submitted probably somewhere under 10 cards. I was doing it every week, and life gets in the way sometimes, and then I just got out of the habit. And then I've been watching it lately, and I was thinking, I really would like to start making a card again every week based on the Craft Roulette show. And then I thought, well, I should make a video. If I'm going to make a card, I should also make a video. So that's what I'm doing this week. Now, when I went to position the egg, I noticed that he was not as tall as the bacon, so I had to sort of push him down so his feet were sort of aligned with the bottom of the bacon feet. And then I decided, well, this is breakfast, so we are going to need some salt and pepper. And here's where the masking comes in. I'm going to take a piece of cardstock, and so that the bacon and the egg don't get paint splatters on them. But then after I did the paint splatters, I was like, wait a minute, if this is salt and pepper that I'm putting on the card, bacon and egg is what you put the salt and pepper on. So that's why I ripped my mask down to just cover the sentiment, and now I'm putting the salt and the pepper on the egg and the bacon, which is where you put the salt and the pepper. Duh. So then when it came time to put the black, I don't know, I was feeling queasy. I didn't want to put the black. I was picturing myself putting some huge splat of black that was going to be too big on my bacon and egg. And what I actually did was put it right on my desk, which is the worst place. And so I had to do a cleanup in aisle 5 there on my desk. Anyway, back to splatting the paper. So I put the splat, and then I decided I would pop up the card front, which is A-okay. I used this thick foam tape that I prefer the thinner foam tape, because when you use more than one layer of this thick stuff, the card gets really dimensional. So I've been sort of not using this for a while, so I just decided to use it here. And then when I went to put the card down, I was like, how am I going to do this? I just was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But anyway, I finally got it down. And miraculously, I didn't even put glue on there to give myself some wiggle room. I just put it straight down, and I did it. But it was kind of scary there for a minute. And then when I got it down, keep in mind that I didn't let this dry, okay? So look what I did. I stuck my finger right in the paint. And I got sad about it there for about a second. And then I thought, you know what? I'll just cover it up with some dimensional dots. What do you call this stuff? Nouveau drops in the color white. And that's what I did. I just put extra drops. And I think it turned out all right. I actually like it better the way it turned out. And then I used some fossilized amber, and I went around the card. And once again, this paint is still not dry. So this is me being a risk taker. I don't skydive. I just do risky things with card making. and it all went well. I felt like this color was sort of eggy looking, and that's why I chose it. And as you can see, I'm being very careful around that wet thing of paint right there. Yeah, so I just wanted to put a little color around the edges to give it sort of a border, because I didn't cut the card front down to mat it. So I felt like this was the border for the card. Yeah, so that's my submission for this week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.